Alright folks, let's go ahead and go over the solution together. Hopefully by now you at least gave the problem an attempt, even if you weren't able to completely solve all of the requirements. First we take their name and greet them, then ask them where they want to go. Depending on where they want to go, we print out a different message, and then specifically if they want to go to the playground, we have to confirm their age. Cool, let's get started. I'm going to put the terminal and the prompt side by side so that we can see both at the same time. Now, I didn't say this in the last video, but it didn't really matter where you implemented this solution as long as you did. What I'm going to do is I'm going to back out of the Module 0 folder and I'm going to create an entirely separate folder called Challenges, and that's where I'm going to implement the solutions to challenges. Inside this folder, I'm going to create a file called m0_c1.py, and now we implement the solution. The first requirement, which is to start by taking their first name and then greeting them, is very simple. We learned about taking user input in the last couple of videos, and so I'm going to do name is equal to input, please enter your name, space in quotes, and then now all we have to do is print hello to them. And so I'm going to do print F for format, remember, in front of the string, welcome, name inside the brace notation to interpolate the variable value. And that fulfills the first requirement. So the next requirement is to ask them where they'd like to go. And you saw in the example that we listed out the locations to the user just for user friendliness. And so I'm actually going to go ahead and do the same thing again. Right below the welcome message, I'm going to create a variable called location, and I'm going to set it equal to input, where would you like to go, ? And then in parentheses, I'm just going to go ahead and list out the location options. I'm going to say cafeteria, office, playground, and restroom. Alright, and so now we have a variable called location, and it stores the value of what the person inputs for where they want to go. But we didn't go over this inside one of the previous videos, and this was on purpose. I wanted to test your ability to look up an answer online. You should be able to figure out that the problem you're trying to solve is checking to make sure that a variable or a string equals another string. And so if you look that up online, you tried to find the answer, you should have learned that the double equal sign or the comparison operator actually works for strings as well. And so that's what we're going to do here to check the values. First, we're going to check if location is equal to, remember, double equal sign, cafeteria in quotes, that's all you have to do, remember, indent inward for scope, print, and then I'm just going to actually copy the message straight from the prompt. And that handles our first scenario. Theoretically, if a person comes to ask for the cafeteria, this will be a full working program where you've fulfilled the requirements. However, we need to implement the solutions to the other scenarios. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to do elif location is equal to office. This time we're going to print out the office is up the stairs and to the left. Okay, and same thing again for playground. And then finally, we have the restroom. Good, awesome. Now, because of the assumption in the prompt that nobody would ever put in gibberish, you could have, if you wanted to, implemented else instead of directly checking for restroom, because if it's not one of these other three inputs, then it has to be restroom by default. Now, in real life, when you're writing a real application, people aren't going to be that nice. They're going to be filling in crap all the time, and you have to handle that scenario. In that case, else to replace restroom would not be appropriate, because then everything else would point to restroom. Anyways, that was just a quick by the way. Let's go ahead and continue. By now, we have fulfilled 3 of the 4 conditions. I'm going to go ahead and write my changes here and then double check my progress just to make sure nothing is outrageously broken. So I open a new window, I execute my program, please enter your name, Michael, welcome Michael, where would you like to go? And then I say cafeteria, and then it tells me the cafeteria is straight ahead at the end. Enjoy. Very good. Let's try this with a new input. I'm going to re-execute my program. By the way, in the terminal, if you want to re-access old commands that you've run, you can just hit the up button. So I hit the up button, I hit enter again, please enter your name, playground, whatever. Welcome playground, where would you like to go? Playground. And then it tells us where the playground is. Okay, and now we just need to fulfill the final condition. When they ask us where the playground is, we then need to confirm their age. Now, how do we do this? Because I didn't go over this with you inside the videos either. Well, you actually already know everything you need to know in order to solve this. I've taught you about scope. When things are indented underneath, that means that all of those statements belong to the scope of the item above it. And so Everything that we have done so far, we can just do the same and do again, this time indented inward, and that will mean that it will only execute if the location is playground. Let's take a look at what I mean. Just like we have done before, we can just take input from the user. I'm going to create a variable called age and set it equal to input, please confirm your age. And notice how this is indented inward. This means that this statement right here belongs to the scope of location is equal to playground. So this will only run if the user asks for the playground. Now I need to do the comparison. If age is less than or equal to 11, and then remember, scope again, we only want to tell them where the playground is if the age is less than or equal to 11. And so I'm going to go down here to our print statement, and I'm going to indent this inward again, another level. You can do this by typing shift period. So you see here that this print statement is indented inward underneath the if statement, so it will only run if age is less than or equal to 11, which in turn only runs if the location is playground. Hopefully by now you're starting to understand a little bit better about how scoping works. Now for this age comparison, you could have done exactly as the prompt said and then checked for age is less than or equal to 11, or you could have done if age is less than 12. Both of those mean the same thing here, and either one would have been acceptable. And now we just need to handle the final scenario. If the age is not less than or equal to 11, then we want to reject them politely or turn them away. So right below this print statement here, I'm going to go ahead and make a new line. I'm going to indent in once because the else belongs to the same level as the if statement, right? Else, new line, indent twice again, and this time I'm going to print, you do not meet our age requirements for the playground. Now, there's one last thing we need to do. Pause the video and see if you can figure out what it is. Alright. If you recall from one of the first videos where we learned about user input, you should remember that when we take in the user input, it automatically stores it as a string. And so before we do this age comparison here, we have to convert it to an integer. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wrap int around age here, and now the program should be done. I'm going to now, like a good software engineer should, write my changes and then test my program. So I'll execute my program. Please enter your name, Vicky. Welcome, Vicky. Where would you like to go? I'm going to say playground. Please confirm your age. I'm going to say 54. You do not meet our age requirements for the playground. There you go. Let's try this one more time. Python 3, m0c1.py. What's your name? Mel. Welcome, Mel. Where would you like to go? Playground. Please confirm your age. I'm going to do 11. And 11 should let me in, right? I'm going to hit enter. Our playground is back out the main door and around the side. There you go, and we have fulfilled the requirements for this program. And that's a wrap for this challenge. In this challenge, we tested the stuff that we learned in the last several videos, and we also kind of tested you on your thinking and problem-solving capability. It shouldn't have been too terribly difficult. If you didn't fulfill all the requirements, that's okay, but I would encourage you to go back and relearn some of the material until it makes complete sense to you. Everything that we're learning in this section is a basic foundation and building block of programming, and so if you don't know it, you're going to have a very hard time solving future problems. These solution videos will exist for every programming challenge in this course, and they are here to help you. Not just to help you understand the problem and how to solve it, but also to get you familiar with this whole format and concept. Oftentimes, when you go to interview with employers, they'll ask you coding problems, and you will have to write code for them while explaining yourself, kind of like what I'm doing in these videos. And so make sure you pay attention to the format, make sure you pay attention to how I'm doing it, and then start practicing doing it yourself. Anyways, congratulations on completing your first programming challenge. Next up, we are going to continue building your basic foundations for programming, and the next thing we're going to learn is loops. See you in the next video.